Coming to you live from the Saddle Lamar studio. It's you R&D team, our podcast team. It's me, Bruno Cicchini, and joining me is Hagen Fritz.
Hey.
As you can see, new year, new space.
Yeah.
Hopefully the same content.
Yeah. Well, better content.
Better.
Same or better.
Hopefully better.
Right.
But yeah, we recently, if you haven't joined the Austin office, we are going through a remodelation.
Remodelation.
And we got to be lucky, stuck with a space that has more lights.
Yeah. Very nice light. Natural light.
Help some of us with that natural.
Right. That's why you put
beauty.
me on this side so the light could hit me. Cause
To help the handicap where I can. And I know we do have a very special guest today.
a very special guest.
He faces a catch-22 situation every single day of his life. He's a loyal Longhorn, but he's killing it over in College Station.
Oh, wow.
Do you know who it is?
No, I have no idea.
No.
It's not in the title or anything.
It's Mr. Fred Gonzalez.
Fred.
He'll be jumping on a little shortly. He made the drive from that
Place.
we'll just call it place.
Yeah.
So looking forward to talking to him. But before we get to that, Hagen, how are you?
I'm well.
You know, it's a new year. Have you
Right.
made any New Year's resolutions?
A few. Mainly health-related things. Not working out because that's not going to happen. But, just making sure I'm a little bit more active. I think stretching is a big one for me.
That's what I'm doing.
I recently got a massage, and the masseuse, the therapist, I think is the politically correct term. She told me that my back was very tight.
I mean, you're carrying the weight of R&D in your shoulders.
That's right, because my manager does nothing.
I mean, brutal. Well, it's glad to hear, though.
Yeah,
How was our refresh week?
it was long. I was ready to get back to work actually. I think it comes from like in grad school. I felt like even on a break I should have been working, so it felt very weird to just sit there and kind of.
That's the whole point.
I
Charging batteries.
I enjoyed it. What about yourself?
Pretty good. I actually took time to go to Dallas, see some family there.
Hmm.
And I know the twin and Mom C flew in. We spent time over there. So
Nice, good to see all that.
just a reminder,
Mm.
if you recall, this refresh week came from one of our challenges that we had.
Oh, that's
So-
true. Yeah, the work-life balance. That was the winner. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see it come into place.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. No, it's definitely fulfilling to see that. The work we do is changing things at the entire company, right? So it's pretty wild.
Hopefully.
3 people, big change.
2.5.
Uh,
Have you heard the exciting news coming from this room podcast?
from this room.
This room.
No, I haven't. What's that?
So we're gonna make headlines with this, but now if you can join us in our live YouTube video, or if you miss it because we have a meeting
Right.
or like a PSS meeting, shout out Austin Robertson. You can now catch us in Spotify
Spotify, really?
as well as Apple Podcasts.
Podcast. That's sweet.
So
Really?
you should be able to join us after this time. They'll be uploaded,
Yeah,
so you can recap it when you're driving home.
that's cool.
It's a great bonding experience with the family.
Yeah, just throw it on during dinner. Yeah,
So make sure you tune in for that. So
gather around the radio, listen in.
I think we're professionals now. So
Right. We technically are. I mean, yeah.
Streaming too.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of 2 weeks into the new year.
Sure.
Has R&D done anything innovative yet? Anything worth sharing?
We're continuing work on our current projects and the projects from 2022. We recently went to the CES conference,
No, we did. What does CES stand for?
Consumer Electronics. So it's the big conference. I think it's one of the biggest in the nation, if I'm not mistaken. But just pretty much all new tech. I feel like a lot of stuff we saw. Well, I feel like there's a good mix of like 50% stuff that's actually already been created and 50% stuff that was in like the prototype beta testing phase. But a lot of really cool stuff, not just for necessarily construction purposes for our job, but just even like life in general.
Are
So
you allowed to share any of the cool things you saw?
I'm not. I signed a
Non-disclosure agreement.
thank you, NDA. That's right. Yeah, I can. Did you want to
Sure. I mean, you're.
hear any? What in what regard related to construction and
Let's
potentially
do one of each. What was your favorite construction-related idea innovation you saw, and one personal?
personal? Okay. For construction, it was. I feel like it has a lot of applications. It's not necessarily. Well, okay. So it was a company that created essentially like little tokens that you would like put on your body. or like on your body and you could on your PPE, for instance, right? So you could put it on your hard hat. I think it could even just like stick there, or on the vest, and it's just like just sends out a little signal, and then there's these anchor points that pick up those signals, and so it can kind of track people in the field, anonymously track people. You're not trying to know where Fred is on the job site, or I mean, I guess you could. I mean, it's probably good to know where he
We're
is.
getting coffee.
Yeah, probably. But I thought that was really cool, so you can actually get kind of an accurate count of who's on the job site and where they're on the job site. So it helps with things like safety or maybe optimizing where people are working that day. So it just kind of goes hand in hand with trying to schedule out the different subs.
Very neat.
Yeah, and it's somewhat low tech, I guess. Like I don't feel there's a lot of places where it would break. Like but I think we're pretty good at Bluetooth and things like that at this stage. So
They're pretty good at breaking things, but also.
well, that too. Yeah.
But in regards to personal techie thing.
The one that got me real excited, and then when we went to the booth, it was a pretty big letdown, just because it wasn't working. But it was it was essentially it looked like a water dispenser, like almost like the water cooler kind of thing, but it would just filter moisture from the air and create water. I just thought that was
From air to water.
yeah, like it just takes the moisture out of the air.
I don't
And
believe until I see it. You get to
it's
see
crazy.
it.
No, I didn't get to see it. I saw the device, but I didn't see it filling up water. But I the research I did was all air quality related, so I guess anytime that air quality, even if it is just moisture, I don't know, it excites me, I guess.
Gets you going.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You were doing a little segment before this, and you let the whole studio fall asleep when you were talking
Well,
about beacons.
That's why my family didn't attend my defense.
Oh, sounded like we don't have time to unpack
That's
that.
a lot, right,
That's pretty cool. So lots of innovation, lots of people.
Oh, lots of people, yes. There's in Las Vegas too, so like people necessarily
Oh,
weren't there for
that's
the
why you
conference.
went.
Yeah, so on Saturday it was, no, that's not why I went.
Uh,
I don't get to decide where the conference is.
mm-hmm.
But, so there's a lot of people.
That's exciting.
Did you want to share?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for asking.
Oh, yeah.
One of the cool items, gadgets that I got to see construction related was this exoskeleton little body, quote unquote, bodysuit. I think it's the closest thing to Iron Man that we have
Okay, yeah.
this our disposal. And I actually got to try it out.
Really?
Yeah, there's some footage out there that I have not received from someone who filmed me.
You have not received it.
But it was pretty cool. It actually allowed me. I mean, I'm a pretty strong guy. I mean,
Sure.
I go to
Look
the
at
gym
that.
a
Right.
couple of times a year. But it allowed me to easily pick up, for example, a kettlebell weight. And then they actually turn it on and off, and you can actually tell the difference.
That's
It's a lot
wild.
of
That's
bigger.
crazy.
I mean, yeah.
And it's just a bodysuit?
Yeah, it kind of ties in. It's like just kind of like a backpack, but it's really hangs on your hips. So if you have big hips, it can still help with that. But hips don't lie. So if you're trying to like bend up or down, it will help you out.
Nice.
But pretty cool. And then it attaches to your legs, so that's where the support comes from. as they were
Okay.
telling me. So for old people like us, mainly you because you're older, it also helps you kind of walk for a longer time because it actually kind of pushes your legs as you're.
Did you walk with it too?
Oh, I did. I walked. I ran. I did a backflip.
Wow. Okay. That's just great. Yeah. How I don't know. I feel like you need to have something grounded, like this, like just the fact that you're using it on your person and you can walk around with it. Was it big or
No,
small?
actually the shows I tried on the version 1, so it was a little bulkier. But version 2, you can see it was way slimmed down. I think they even say it was also lighter.
Is it so it's like a backpack?
Yeah, like a backpack vest.
Okay. It didn't feel too heavy either on the
Not at all.
Oh,
Yeah, I think,
okay. Wow.
Yeah, you're gonna if you break the piggy bank for $10,000, then
If I remember correctly, there was a rental option as well that was much more feasible.
then we can just use your credit card for that. The other personal item that I saw was I'm a dog guy. I have a furry friend at home. He's taking a snooze right now. Shout out Remus, go back to bed. So this product allows you to create a imaginary geofence. So if the dog or cat or pet, people
Right.
like snakes, tries to exit the perimeter, it actually would trigger it in 3 different ways to keep it within that defined space. So let's say you don't have a yard, you have a ranch, but you're trying to limit how far your pet goes. It's actually able to kind of create that, and you get to customize it. So
That's pretty
Pretty neat.
cool. So it doesn't have to be a box. It could be.
it can be a
It can't be a
trapezoid,
circle, I guess. Okay.
a triangle, any shape.
Parallelogram.
Ooh, I'm getting crazy now.
I know. Octahedron.
Oh,
That's 3D, isn't it?
decagon.
Okay, that one works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the guy with the PhD?
I don't know.
Interesting. But it was nice to see the CS conference. Hopefully, other people get to experience that.
Yeah.
Lots of walking,
Uh,
lots of ideas.
I was talking to Todd Wynn yesterday. Well, you were in the room as well, and he was saying that at the CES conference was where we found our first drone.
Oh.
The company that we use for the drones. And
360 camera.
360 camera. Yeah. So it's a lot of the stuff we found there could potentially be huge changes at RO again.
I hear. Are we meeting this week to?
Yeah.
find some of those
Did you
ideas?
get the calendar invite I sent you?
Yeah, I'll probably send the tentative response.
Yeah, you'll have to do that.
But yes, so hopefully we'll provide some new ideas for RO to test out, since we do like to be innovative. So
Me too.
looking forward to that. I do know. Do you hear those bells? It's time for our favorite segment.
What's that?
Our hard questions from our
Hardhat
fans.
Questions.
Let me get it
Okay. Okay.
Ooh, that's not a bell, but it was something. So I'll just go ahead and pick a random fan question from the hat.
One, yes.
This was from Brandon Arias at Football is Life. Are there going to be any more innovation station challenges?
Oh, that's a good question. We are in talks right now about potentially hosting one. I don't necessarily want to say yes without getting the full confirmation there, but it's like a 90% confirmation, right? You would agree?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, check with your manager.
All right. Anyway, so definitely, I would say definitely at least one in this quarter or next, and maybe a second one that'd be ideal in 3 or 4, Q3 or Q4. Q4.
Q4. I mean, we saw the outcome of one of them, so I think
Right.
it'll be exciting to see what.
And they're in the second one, right? They're in talks with Thomas Lucas, the winner of that one, of implementing the PTP, well, burning the PTP cards, I suppose.
Do you have any update on that?
I don't. I'm not allowed in those meetings. It's above my pay grade, my clearance level.
It's all good. Do you think we have time for one more question?
I don't. Yeah, I think we do.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick it or do you want me to do it again?
You're good at picking.
This one comes from Miranda Minshew at M&M's. I know one of our OKRs this year is to have our support teams really set operations up for success. Do you have an idea of what R&D tries to do to accomplish that goal?
I do. I love to talk about the safety forum every single time I'm on. So
Is it working now?
actually very, very exciting. They literally tested it like 2 hours ago and it worked. So like with actual people, not just me like
Actually
sitting at my
offside?
desk. Yeah, that's crazy, right?
That is
So it's actually working. They want a few more updates on it to make it a little bit to make it even better. But it's working. It's crazy to
Proud
think
of that.
about it's actually working. So that's exciting. So that's one thing, that'll hopefully reduce a lot of time and effort on part of safety and whoever conducts those orientation meetings, and save a little bit of paper, right? We're not having to fill out those forms. And it should hopefully be easier for the trades too, right?
I mean, that is the goal.
Yeah.
Do you know which project testing it out?
The 1301 South Lamar project.
That's
I think.
my project.
Yeah, and it is. I was about to yeah, it is your project. So that's exciting. And then beyond that, I think we're trying to learn what people want to do, which ideas people are more interested in, right? Are they interested in the quick implement ideas that we can kind of just churn out left and right, but don't have a huge overall impact, or are we looking for more of those deep dives that are really going to change how things happen? And I think personally it's going to be a mix of both. I think we're going to get almost an even split maybe. But so learning that and then implementing some of those ideas, especially trying to use some of that technology from CES, I think that's how we can be the best support.
That's a perfect, well-executed answer.
Thank you. I've been practicing.
Well, that's perfect. I think we're ready for our guest. Are you ready?
I'm ready, yes.
Is our guest ready? He's texting over there.
Oh, okay.
I think he is ready.
Okay.
But I know we'll keep you posted. I know we'd love to hear from you, so keep sending those questions either to me, Hagen, or Mr. Holmes, and we can answer them live. You get a shout out. But with that said, anything else?
No?
Perfect.
Okay.
So we'll turn it over to Fred Gonzalez, everybody.
We on, Bruno? Awesome. Man, so funny. We're sitting here looking at this, and 10:28 feels like we did that forever ago. Um, but anyways, Fred, welcome. So happy to have you here, sir.
Nice to be here.
Man, where'd you come from today?
College Station, Texas.
College Station. What are you working on out there? I've heard that there's a couple of projects. I was
Yeah.
well briefed yesterday.
Yeah, so we're doing a 10-story high rise over there for a repeat client of ours. And yeah, I came straight over here. Took about an hour, 45 minutes, not too far away from here. But yeah, we're doing that over there. It's fun. It's a good
Thank
time.
you again for taking the time. I'm super excited to sit here and talk with you for the next 45 minutes or so. And
Absolutely.
let everyone know a bit about Fred Gonzalez. Whenever that new PE, not only when that new PE shows up,
That's right.
they know what they're getting into, right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
first thing I got to know, what do you love about RO, Fred?
So several things, and I was thinking about this in the car because I saw your questions. But I think one of the big things, and I'll kind of go along with what John Archer was saying on the interview, but the culture is a big thing, right? Being a part of a family-owned business, everyone knows your name, which is awesome. So like, you have your president, you have your vice president that know you by your first name, and you're not just a number. So it's been great. I think it's important to have a culture that you're working in where, like, people recognize who you are, even higher ups and execs. And like I said, you're not just another number. And also, there's a lot of opportunity for growth here. I think there's some other big GCs where you have to work like you have to work like four years in the industry, and then you get promoted to PE1, or it's very structured. And here at RO, you have the opportunity for growth, and it's all based on your performance. So I think RO hires a lot. They hire a lot of people that are motivated and that want to do well in their careers, and so they're allowed to grow in the company. So I think that's something that's really attractive about RO.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. I know coming out of school and interviewing with everyone, all the different GCs and whatnot, and trade partners, I'd go in there and tell them, I'd rather go clean Porta Johns for the rest of my life with some really good people.
That's right.
Than to go build the baddest, biggest, coolest project ever with a bunch of people who I can't get along with, that are pretentious, narcissistic, any of that. Like, I leave all that at home.
Right. Yeah, it's funny you said that, because I was thinking about this earlier. I work with some really cool people, right? Like, RO hires some really good characters. People who, every day that I come to work, we just laugh. It's fun. It's fun being there. I worked with Denny Dinsmore, my first job. He was an animal.
That's the treat right there. You talk about
hilarious.
trial by fire.
Every second of the day, man, he just crack up some joke, and I am dying laughing. I had just started too. It was my first day, and I was already dying. Dude. So Denny Dinsmore, I worked with Susan Stewart. Oh, I love Susan Stewart. When we did the Muse, it was so fun working with her. It was awesome. Yeah, I think one time there was some bickering going on between our project manager and superintendent, and then I'm in the room with her, and we're just quiet listening to what they're saying, right? And she's like, "I hate it when mom and dad are fighting," and I'm like crying, dude. Yeah, Susan is.
I can picture
Susan's
that one.
awesome. Yeah, we just have some really funny people. I'm working with another project manager out in College Station. His name's Ryan Powell. He's new with us. I don't know if you've met him, but he cracked one of the funniest dad jokes. We're at lunch, right? Yesterday, we're at lunch, and he's looking at his phone. He's like, "Well, just got another notification that Georgia just scored another touchdown." I'm like, "That's the best dad joke I have ever heard." So I just work with funny people, dude. Like,
Oh, man.
the people that RO chooses to hire, I think it's great. They're not only looking at like their education or their experience, that plays a big role, but they're also personality fits. And they develop teams. I think each project team has their own personality. So yeah, it's something fun I like being a part of.
For sure. You're obviously here now. You're a PM, am I correct?
That's correct.
Project manager.
Yeah.
How did you end up at RO? Did you come straight out of school? Did you come from another contractor? What was kind of your genesis story coming here?
Yes. So so right out of college, I graduated from UT. Right out of college, I was working for a small GC in Round Rock. They were senior housing specialists, so I was doing a bunch of senior housing throughout the state of Texas. My very first job, I was working out at an apartment complex in Kyle. Gained a lot of experience there, and then immediately following that project, we just did nothing but senior housing facilities. So I was working out City of Shenandoah. Ever heard of that? City of Shenandoah?
Doesn't sound familiar.
No, right next to the Woodlands in Houston.
Oh, okay,
So
gotcha.
I was working there. I was doing a senior housing there. Then I went to Flower Mound out in Dallas.
Yeah.
Super old city, right? So old, but I was out there. I was staying in hotels. So that's kind of how I started my career. And a big shout out. So I want to give a shout out to Haley Smith. So she was one of my best friends in college, and it was my last semester. It was the summer before my last semester. I graduated in December of 2015, and she pretty much just called me and was like, "Hey, my company's hiring for interns. Are you interested?" And boom, from that moment on, I started with that company in Round Rock, and my career started. So it's all really thanks to her. You know, it's funny because in college, it is really who you know, right? Like, it's very important to network because it just opens more doors, right? You meet friends in college that you know they'll put in the good word for you, and that's kind of how I got in the mix. So yeah, I started my career there. I was there for about a year and a half, and then kind of got tired of it. Not gonna lie, I got tired of traveling a lot.
Were they a lot of real short, like, 4 to 8 month? I say short, 4 to 8 month projects where you kind of bounce around site to site, city to city.
They were. So I was a project engineer at the time, and when I would go, it was more so like I was the fireman putting out drills, right? Like putting out fires. There were so many things going wrong with the job, and I was just trying my best to, to go in there and try and fix things with like just being organized. And I was young. I had just started my career, so I was just all about organization, right? And we were kind of already in the tail end punch list phase, but there were just so many things that were messed up. So started my career doing that, and then a lot of I wanted to do something bigger. Like I just always wanted to do something bigger. And I imagined, my life in college that, I'd be wearing a suit and tie, right? Driving an Audi, right? I pictured that. I had these dreams in my head of what my career was going to be. And I don't know, now I'm wearing boots and jeans, right? And I like it. I like it. So really, I just wanted to do something bigger. And the biggest thing that I wanted to accomplish in my career was being on a high-rise job. So I would drive in Austin, and I would see all these, you on every construction site, you see their logo, right, their banner, and I always saw so many RO logos.
Shout out marketing team, right?
That's right.
Make it
I
happen.
always saw it, and I would just drive by like, damn, like maybe I should reach out to them. So one of my buddies was also interviewing with RO, and he was like, you should interview too, and so I did, and yeah, I got interviewed by Alan Codina. It was Mike Dempsey, Joseph Francis. And I just love the dynamic. Like you can tell, I felt like right away I can connect with these guys, and still feel that way, right? But yeah, and then after that we got an offer, and boom, started with RO. This was in May of 2017, and yeah, been with the company ever since.
Man,
good.
We're happy to have you here. It's definitely been a pleasure, Fred. I've been able to work with you on a couple of projects, and it's always been an absolute pleasure. The energy that you bring forward, like not when you first show up, not at the end of the day, non-stop throughout the day. Like Fred turns it up to 11 when he rolls out of bed, and he doesn't shut it off. Like it just stays full go all day.
Right. It's a good time. Got to make it fun.
You do. There's no sense in making it miserable.
That's right.
You have that opportunity. You can make it as difficult as you want. This can be a miserable career. It can be long, hard hours, hard work, and you're just constantly fighting everyone.
That's right. Yeah.
Or you can find ways to make it better and take some action.
That's right.
Empower yourself, empower others. Be like, hey, we can make this better. Let's do it.
Right. And I'll dive into more of that. I like what you said there. It shouldn't be miserable ever, right? I mean, coming into work should be something you enjoy. And I guess when we talk more about like team effectiveness, I'll touch up on more on that. So that'll be good.
Oh man, for sure. That's it's funny. I saw down in the training room yesterday, Joseph Harper. I was like, man, we got to get you. So Joseph, we're coming for you. I don't know when, but we're going to get you on here.
He'd be a good one, no doubt.
He has an incredible ability to form those teams.
Oh, he does.
Just I don't know how he does it, and I think we could all learn a lot there.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned you went to UT, and then you went off. You're doing this deal with the senior living up in Flower Mound down in Houston and all that. What made you get into construction in the first place? Like that's not, I don't think for a lot of people, especially going to UT, like I don't think there's a lot of folks out there like, I'm going to go be a GC.
Right.
They're definitely out there. But
right.
like what pulled you into that? What drew you into this?
Right. So this one, and I hope Hallie, our intern's listening, because this is really for her. But I did architectural engineering, so I wasn't even considering construction. Right. I guess I saw my life in the office, and I was going to be doing engineering work, and I was going to work for some structural engineering firm. That's kind of how I saw my life. But the beauty about architectural engineering is that it's very broad. You can do a lot of things. Bruno, you can attest to this, right? Bruno's in VDC, right? I mean, there's a lot of things they teach you in school. You can do modeling. You can do sustainability. That was one, right? You could work for a builder. You could work for a mechanical engineering firm, right? Doing modeling there. There's a lot of things that you can do. Structural engineering was another one. But I think I chose construction because I guess I fell in love with the idea of building something, right? I had a lot of buddies that were in the engineering program that were also going to do the construction route. And so I stuck with it. And really, when Haley gave me that opportunity to go out and work for that builder, I kind of took it from there. And I was just about to start a family too, so I had to make a decision quick, right? So I decided to go the construction route, and I love it. I love what I do. Very demanding. There's a lot of, especially being passionate about what you do. Like, there's a lot of people at RO that are very passionate, and then there's some that are not, right? Of course, but you have some people that really want to do good and build good things, and that can take its toll on you if you don't, practice it carefully, right? So I fell in love with the idea of building, and one day driving past the building and knowing that I built that or I was a part of that, right? I mean, think that's something, it's a testament to what you've done in your career. So I love it. I love what I do. That's why I chose it. Yeah.
That's so funny because I think I think it was John Archer who was in here back in December said almost the same thing.
Yeah.
There's this tangibility to construction where you can really take pride in that project, and it's not. It's not digital. It's not ones and zeros and all that. Where it's like, I don't know, like I punched some keys and something happened. Like, it's a real thing.
It's a product, right?
Yeah. I think that's very difficult to mimic.
Yeah.
And especially when we talk about construction and high rises, right? Especially in a city like Austin, that skyline is out of control.
These
buildings are huge. They're beautiful. It's diverse and unique, right? It's not like a bunch of Soviet style gray boxes going up. Like
the Google that cell looks awesome, dude.
It's insane.
Yeah, it looks crazy. Yeah, Austin skyline's growing crazy right now.
So I think there's a lot of folks that feel that same way about construction. It's an opportunity not only to go build awesome things, but to take pride in it and say, you see that?
Built that.
That was me.
I was a part
of
it.
Made that happen. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Poured the concrete, chipped it out, poured the concrete, chipped it out,
That's
poured
right.
the concrete, chipped it out, and then we
Great
poured
goals.
it one more time for good luck.
That's right. Great goal, baby.
Excuse me. Oh gosh, trying to get over those allergies. They're chewing me up right now.
Yeah, that's how it was in College Station. Yeah, I'll be honest, driving out here, when I've never been to College Station, right? I think I pictured when going into that city, I was going to see like farmland and cows and sheep and farmhouses everywhere, people not driving cars, but horses, right? And then when I showed up, I was like, wait a minute, this place is, all right, it's kind of fun here. I went to Northgate, right? Like seeing their little version of, 6th Street, right? It was cool. They have their own little system going on there. Yeah, it's not a rural area anymore.
It's a huge university. They have like 80,000 enrolled out there.
And it's growing. Yeah, so that's the beauty about construction growing in College Station is that the student body now is getting higher, right? It's growing and growing. They're doing a lot of construction there. They're expanding on their campus, right? And so it's a direct reflection of what's happening on Northgate, right? So now they're starting to demo out the old apartment complexes, those duplexes, right? And they're starting to go elevated. They're starting to build a bunch of high rises. So there's literally 3 or 4 high rises that are in discussion in the works over there with different developers and different builders. But it's just growing like so much in such a little short period of time. It's crazy to see. I'm excited to see what College Station is going to look like 10 years from now.
I see those images of 315.
Yeah, it's awesome. Tallest building.
It's
Tallest
crazy.
building.
Like
It's
it almost looks out of place because it's so modern and large. Everything else is just like this little
Stick frame, like,
yeah,
so
two
weird.
stories or whatever, like with an attic.
Yeah.
And you've got how tall is that? 15?
19 stories.
19 stories.
Yeah, so it's awesome. So like whenever someone asks me, what do you do for work? And it's, oh, I work for Rogers Bryant. Like, oh, that's the tallest building going on right now because of our logo. Everyone
knows.
sees it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's the best marketing tool there is. It's pretty cool.
Man, that's super cool. Bruno, if you want to pull up the screen share real quick, there's some renders and images that the architect and all have in there. That's a wild building.
It is. It is. Yeah. The team over there, they're doing a great job. I hear nothing but good things. They're adapting to the challenges there, and they're developing a lot of lessons learned for us, right? So we're the second high rise going on over there. So they tell us a lot of how the city works. Very different from Austin.
Really?
Oh my God.
I'm
So
curious to hear that. Like, in what, better for worse, just different in general?
Well, I would say more beneficial, right? But they're less lenient on things, right? They don't do high-rise work. We're teaching a lot. We're teaching the city on how high-rise buildings are being built, right? Like they have to apply for crane permits, right? And you know about all that, right? With the airways and going to there's a airport that's super close there, so we have to make sure we're not objecting that view of the airport or whatever. So there's a lot of challenges that the city was having to go through because of 315, and then now we're required to do that on ours. So we're teaching them about the processes of approving a high-rise building, right? I mean, it's awesome. It's different. So there we also don't have to deal with Austin Energy, right? Austin Energy is always a challenge in every job, especially with the current market. Getting your transformers, getting permanent power is just always a struggle with Austin Energy.
Just getting them here in the first place.
Yeah,
it's trying to schedule all the inspections and whatnot.
They run the show. They run the show. The whole job is contingent upon getting them out there. And in College Station, we don't have to deal with them at all. I mean, they're talking about getting permanent power like extremely quick. And we're always fighting this thing, right? And especially in high-rise work. You're having to wait to get permanent power so that, one, you can just get your units climatized, right? Because when you start laying down flooring in a unit that's not where the air's not on, you lay it down, and then when you kick the air off, it's going to buckle, right? So you're dealing with a lot of rework. Here, we're not going to have to experience that, right? We're going to get permanent power right away, so we can do all of the things in the normal progression of work how it's supposed to be done and not have to deal with Austin Energy. So there's so many benefits to working out at College Station. It's been good. Inspectors are way different. Inspectors are way different over there too. There's a lot less things that they're looking at. The process is, I think we're doing inspections floor by floor, right? Here, they just do inspections. It's all one permit. You don't have to do it floor by floor. They just go out and inspect it and they say, yes, you're good to cover up. So it's, and I'm still learning a lot of things through that. Grady Lee is out there. He's the superintendent for 315. So he's teaching our team, how to go about the process of scheduling inspections and what the city requires. Luckily, we do have a superintendent. He's new with us. His name's Jonathan Pugh. He has a lot of experience working out in College Station, so that's proven to be a good thing on the team. So, yeah, way different. Way different. Construction over there is way different.
Looks different, sounds different, builds different.
Yeah.
All different. What would you consider to be the most challenging project you've ever built?
Yeah, so I saw that on the question too. So I've been thinking about this on the way over here.
So you better have a good answer.
I do.
I don't expect a flop here.
I think anyone can say, anyone that's been in the industry for about 10 years, 7 to 10 years, I think they can say the project where COVID hit is probably the most challenging project. So for me, it was Villas on Rio. God, it was hard, right? So you're dealing with things that are out of your control. Right, and construction, you want, I guess you try, the project teams, right? We try and control as many aspects of the job as we can. Financially, right, with procurement, with sequencing, with scheduling. You try and control as many things as you can. But when COVID hit, you're seeing material deliveries that are being pushed out, way out, right? There's light fixtures that were ordered originally that we still haven't even gotten those delivered yet to this day.
Kidding me.
Yeah, so it's been a challenge, right? So really, it was a testament to see how well our trade partners worked, how organized they were. It was all about notification, all about time, right? If they knew there was tile that wasn't going to come until 8 months and we needed to install it in 2 months, what's the alternative? What looks like? What work are you going to do to show me an alternate material, an alternate tile that looks the same, costs a little bit more, but you're going to get it in the time that you need it? Yeah. So we had to you know, make educated decisions, based on the current market. Do we pay up for this? Is it worth paying up 20 grand to get this material here in the time that we need it? Or do we risk it and hope that we're going to get it in the 4 or 5 months, right? It was always a challenge. And so that took a toll on me. I think on the first project, you were on that one, Muse, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So that job was so successful, right? In terms of sequencing, in terms of team development, in terms of understanding schedule impacts, understanding how the city worked, right? Understanding West Campus, and what you can and cannot do with noise ordinances and when you can pour, and understanding all of that. And I think that developed a lot of teams, because that team split up, and then half of us went to that 2020 New Oasis job, and then the other half went to Villa Zone Rio. And so we kind of were able to expand the knowledge, right? There were some key players that went to each team that were able to expand the knowledge and teach the other teams. And now we are where we are today, right? There's a lot of people who understand high-rise construction because of that job. And so I think that was the challenge on this one, is I was doing procurement, and I was very organized, and when I was getting materials here, but then it came to a point where I have no control now. Things are going out weeks, months. I'm not going to get the material. And I have a sequence. I have a schedule that I have to meet, right? And things are slipping, like, quick. So it took its toll on me. I was very stressed. No one thought, I think at one point, no one thought we were going to finish that job in the time that we did. And I took a lot of that, and I speak to this to everyone I know. That job it took a lot of out of me to get through it, and we finished. And like, we were able to convince the owner to sequence out the students that were moving in. Like, maybe they would go and let first day one, let the units that were ready, let those students move in first. And then they were able to phase out their move-ins, which was phenomenal. That helped us out tremendously. And we ended up finishing. So I'd say that was the most challenging job because of COVID and what that did to the schedule and what that did to procurement. I think that was what hit the most. Yeah, it was hard.
What I love about that, though, is how you reframed the problem and went from, hey, we can't move everyone in. We know that's going to be the case. We can't finish all these by this particular date or whatnot. Right. Instead of saying, well, okay, like, can't do it. Sorry. Right. And living with the consequences, you and that team got together and said, hey, let's find some way to get something out of this. Like,
right.
Get some sort of product delivered. That's why this building is here, is for students to live in.
Right.
How can we get a handful of students in here?
Right.
So I think that's very commendable on your behalf to like I said, reframe that, find a different approach that allows you to be successful even whenever it seems like everything is fighting against you.
Right. Yeah. And that was another thing. We consider our customers, right, as part of a team. And I think everyone knew what COVID was doing to the market. And I think everyone had a feeling that there's some jobs that aren't going to make it. So what can we do to make it? What can we convince you guys? Hey, these are some alternatives. These are some options. And that was the beauty about these teams, and Harper's teams especially, right? They don't just go into a problem and have one solution. There's multiple solutions. I'm going to give you X, A, B, C, X, Y, Z. You tell me which one you want to do. And I think the client was very respected that those options, and was able to make the decisions on his own. And it made him feel like it was his decision, right? Which helped us out tremendously. And so, yeah, they worked with us, and we finished. I mean, yeah, that job was crazy. I mean, to look back on it and the challenges we faced, it was an amazing job. There wasn't, and Harper and I always talk about this, right? There wasn't a single thing on that job that we couldn't solve. Not a single thing. Everything hit us. There wasn't a single thing we couldn't solve. There was things that took us a long time, right, to figure out, but we worked through it. We sat down and we worked through it, and we solved a lot of things. It was a great job. It was a great job.
What was it, if you had to put your finger on just one thing, one kind of characteristic, skill set, trait, whatever you want to call it, what do you think it is about you and that team that allowed that to happen and made it successful? I can probably imagine that there's a 1,000 different ways that project doesn't get finished, or finishes poorly, or gets handed off to an RGC or what have you, because the team wasn't able to do what you guys did. But if you had to narrow it down to just one thing, what do you think it was that allowed the team to operate in that fashion and deliver it?
Yeah, so Well, so this is a long-winded question. We can talk about teams, right? So I was thinking about this in the car. I want people to understand how teams are at RO, right? There's no team is the same. There's never a team that's going to be built the same. As much as we like to say every team's great, right? That's not really the case. So, you know how in football, right? You have the varsity, right? You have the starters, right? Then you have the B team, right? They get in there, and then you have the C team, right? And you have people who don't even make it to the varsity squad, right? And
Got the intramurals team out there.
Yeah, that's right. That's
playing tetherball or something.
That's right.
Like, I'm an athlete.
That's right. So we try. I think this is what's going on, but we try and get as many star players in each team as we can, so that they can rub off on other people. Because unfortunately, we wanna hire people that are passionate, but that sometimes that's not the case, and we got to be realistic about it, right? Some people just want to work and collect a paycheck and clock out at 5 and they're ready to go. So I was fortunate enough to understand or to be on a team that was A players, right? The starters, where everyone was a starter, right? And then I was fortunate enough to be in a team where it wasn't like that, right? It was kind of like A's mixed with B's, mixed with C's, right? But there was enough of us that were passionate about it, enough of us that were motivated enough to finish that job, and we did. So if there was one thing, that I contribute the success of that job to, right? I would attribute it to the younger, like the office engineers. They excelled. They excelled because they were looking at the leaders of the group and they were understanding the things that they had to do. So it was incredible to see that, like, it was really punch list that was not working, right? And we had Caitlin Powell, and we had an intern, right, that were managing that punch list process, and they took us through the finish line, right? It wasn't the leaders, right? We all had, of course, we all had a big part to play in it, but it was training the younger staff to make sure they're doing their job so we can finish on time, and that made us successful. So I think the one takeaway is spending a lot of time with the younger staff members to make sure they're motivated, right? How they work, understanding what they need, what tools they need to be successful. I think training the younger staff, that's a theme that needs to be on every project, right? A lot. There's not a lot of time spent on training the younger staff on every team, right? And so for me, I realized the importance of that because they're the reasons why we finished that job. And there was a lot of people that were burnt out towards the end too, but they took us to the finish line. It was awesome to see. It was incredible. Yeah, I remember after that job was finished, I took them out to Salt. What is it called? That
Salt
seafood.
Lake?
Yeah, no, it's seafood place. It's Salt Traders. Salt Traders.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we had oysters, and I took him out. Karchi was on that job. Karchi, you know Karchi. Yeah, so it was a good time. It was a good time, man. It was a really good time towards the end. I was just happy we made it, man. It was driving me nuts.
Well, I'm happy you made it. Yeah. I'm happy you're still here. I'm happy that you're willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
Share your experiences and lessons learned with others. And I think that training is twofold. You're absolutely helping those younger team members become more effective at what they do. But also you, Fred the PM, can't become Fred the project director until you've got someone to fill the roles of Fred the PM.
That's right.
And that means that it's not just a body and a seat. Like, they need to have a similar skill set. They need to be able to replicate what you were doing.
Right.
And if you're not training those people, if you're not teaching those PEs, right?
Right.
If you're not training those PEs how you operated as a PE and telling them, hey, I learned this the hard way, so take it from me. Like, do your submittal log in this fashion, or whenever you're doing RFIs, make sure you include these critical bullets, whatever it might be.
Right.
That's really allowing them to fill the void that you will leave whenever you move up into another position.
Right, and that's something I struggle with when I'm training younger staff, right, is I did my way worked, and it was very successful. And so I try not to say this is the only way, right? I try and let them have the leverage or the freedom to do what they want, right? But I try and give them guidance, like, hey, this is the way I did my procurement log. If you do it like this, you'll succeed. If you find another way, maybe it's more effective for you, do it that way. And it's hard. I'm learning with that still, because I hate to see someone running their wheels on the procurement log when something's already been proven to be successful. But it's something I'm working on, right? But yeah, I noticed that. Understanding a team's dynamic is important, and understanding what motivates them. but it really falls down to the younger generation, right? I mean, we need them to understand what we do to be successful, and we need them to not copy it, make it better, right? So I think
I've
that's
heard
very
that a
important.
couple of times somewhere around here. Something about a better way. No, I strongly agree with that. I think that's some great insight to share there. I'm curious. I was doing as much. I'm not on social media, so I can't go find your TikToks and see what's like
You don't want to.
the latest and greatest in Fred's life. But I did see, super corporate Mr. James here, that you had been engaged with some P6 and scheduling, and you're getting some shout outs on Motivosity for your efforts there.
Yeah.
What got you into that? I know that's something that's, we have a couple of schedulers now, and they dedicate their time to just doing schedules. What kind of drew you into that, and what has been your take on that as you've learned how P6 works and schedules work and the whole CPM process? What has that been like for you?
Right. So I think to be a good scheduler, right, you have to know how construction works. Your type. Every construction type's different, right? High-rise work is it's in sequence, right? Floor by floor. A lot of the same activities are repetitive, right? But you got to understand logic to tie along with that. You can't schedule unless you've been through it, right? And so now I've entered into a stage where I've done two high rises already. I understand the sequencing. I did finishes on the first one. The second one I did all MEP, part of the amenities, right? So I've developed that knowledge, and now I'm able to schedule. And I'm not the best at it. I'm not going to say that, right? This was the first job where I've handled the schedule full throttle on my own.
Okay.
And it's been good. And Joseph kind of saw that. Joseph and I have been working together for a very long time, since I started with the company. So we're going on about 6 years. And so he understands kind of what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are. And he put me onto scheduling, and I love it. I love it. It's a puzzle. It really is a puzzle. Like, to understand the logic on how activities can work, and maybe you can start something earlier, but you're showing it starting a little later. And it's all just logic, and I love it. It's so fascinating.
It's so funny too. I'd never thought about it till you said it just now. But there's a logic element, but it almost reminds me of a bit of a game of poker as well.
Yeah.
Because there's some logic, there's some strategy there, right?
Right.
But there's also a bit of I won't say a bluff, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you have to think about how it's going to be perceived by the owner, by the
right.
trade partners.
That's right.
If you've got one task that's 10 months long that says installing lights or whatever,
Right.
you can bet that electrician is going to wait until month 9 to
Right.
start installing those lights.
Right.
Versus breaking out floor by floor, however you go about it. But there is kind of an interesting aspect of it, I think, is there's some perception that goes along with the strategy and logical planning side of it.
Absolutely, yeah. You never want to show all your cards, right? But you got in something that I'm still learning, right? You got to be able to understand what activities need to be broken out and what can stay as one line item, right? So I like to show a lot of activities broken out so people can understand the sequence. Like, maybe it's not just one line item, electrical trim out for the whole building, right? Maybe it's level 5, level 6, level 7, so they can see when the next activity can start. There's a lot of creativity that goes into the schedule, and there's some activities that you're showing to start later, but you're actually able to start sooner, so you start it. It's a fun puzzle to work through. And I am no expert at all at P6. All right, so let's just make that.
I don't know if anybody is.
That known. Yeah, John Mall. Shout out to John Mall. We've had a lot of one-on-one meetings. I think there was a problem that Nick Vargo helped me out with. Apparently, I was the only one in the whole company that was dealing with this issue. And Nick was like, "Oh, it's a simple thing." They spent like 5 or 10 minutes going through it, and then they solved it. And I was like, "Awesome!" And I had no idea what was going on. I was like, "Guys, I don't know if I messed up or not, but."
Thanks for bailing me out.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so I mean, I'm working through it and I'm learning it, but it's been good. It's been fun.
Yeah, that's very cool. Between budgets, schedules, and submittals, which of those do you think is the most difficult to do?
Schedule, no
Schedule?
doubt. Yeah, submittals easy. Yeah.
Do you think that just comes back into the whole? You have to know it all. You have to know the budget. You have to know the schedule. I'm sorry. You have to know the budget. You have to know the submittals and all of the logistics of the project to put together that schedule effectively. It's kind of the crown jewel, if you will, of construction processes.
That's right, absolutely. Yeah, so when you schedule, you have to have an understanding of all aspects of the construction, right? You have to understand what we have in pre-con, right? You have to understand what savings you have from doing buyout. I think this shouldn't really be said, but I think there's a lot of PMs that don't want to spend money. They want to keep all of their money. They want to keep all of their chips, right? They don't want to spend money. They only want to spend it on the oh crap moments, right? Or something falls behind, or we have to expedite delivery because it's going to be late. But we're looking at opportunities, especially in high-rise construction, where, hey, let's say we're trying to top out the structure, and let's say we have 15 guys doing rebar. Hey, what if you guys man up, right? You add another 15 guys, and you work weekends for the next 2 months, and we'll pay for that. What benefit would that do to us? So I'm able to do a lot of trial and error, right? Like I'm able to go into the schedule. I'm able to copy a baseline and say, all right, I'm gonna work through this. Let's say I try and get Diambra to finish their total duration was 10 days, right? Let's say they can knock it out in 5 days, and we go on to the next level. Does that buy us anything? And I'm able to run all that through, and I'm like, yeah, it does. This is gonna be worth it. So I'll spend another 10 grand, right? I'll spend 10 grand to expedite the schedule because I see the benefits of it and I can prove it now. Before, it was more so logic on procurement of materials. That's kind of what my knowledge was at the time. But now I'm able to see it all the way through because I'm the one that's managing the schedule. So it's proven to be, the most challenging thing is scheduling. I'm still working on the schedule now, right? I haven't built out the skin yet. I'm still waiting for one of our trade partners to get back with us. But it's the most challenging thing so far, definitely. But there's some things you'll also run out where it gets a little stressful because when you actually do a schedule update and you're seeing the impacts of the schedule, you're like, damn, I gotta catch back up, right? I'm not gonna top out till 10 days after. What do I have to do from then? And so there's a lot of oh crap moments, but I will also say, so scheduling is not a one-man show. I don't want anyone to think it's a one-man. The activity of doing it, the input entry is a one-man show, right? But not building out the schedule. There's a lot of players that are involved, right? Superintendent more so than anyone. You have to have a superintendent that understands the schedule. You have to. So I've built out mine with my other PM, with my superintendent, and with Joseph. Joseph kind of has a good understanding of it. He's kind of the checks and balances. He tells me kind of what needs to happen, and now I'm able to build it out, right? I'm still in the learning process. Can't tell you that I can start a job and automatically I'd be able to build the whole schedule out. It's not going to happen. But at little guidance there, here and there that he's given us, and we're able to have an effective schedule, and it's been good. It's been good.
Oh, that's awesome stuff. Oh my God, we only have 7 minutes left.
7?
Just, 7, I know, right? Had all these questions, the guy. We're gonna get through half of them at best, and I haven't even addressed the questions in the chat. But I do want to. There was a question in the chat here. It came from I think our Bruno CS.
Nice.
It says, Fred, you mentioned the importance in training and spending time with the new and young hires. Who were some of those people that taught you?
Nice. So 3 people come to mind, right? Always the same 3, and always be the same 3. When I think of my career and how it started and what made me effective throughout these years, it's been 3 people. That was Natalie Sandoval. She was Magnus at one point, right? But Sandoval now. AJ Chase, who's no longer with us, he left, and then Joseph Harper. Those are the 3 people that taught me everything that I know to this day. Of course, I learned a lot of things along the way through trial and error, right? But they gave me the guidance that I needed. For AJ, it was the mistakes that he made that I learned from, right? It was some things that he was doing that I was like, oh, I can do. I was so competitive, right? I'm gonna do it better. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna do that better. I promise, I'm gonna do it. And he was the older one, right, from Philly, so his demeanor was so different from mine, right? He was just so mean, but it was funny, right? So like he pushed me a lot, and I loved it. I loved that. Natalie was the one that I saw what she was doing, and how effective she was, and she taught me. Like, she's a pro at Bluebeam. So if you need something on Bluebeam, you call Natalie, right? She's one of the best I've ever seen. She knows, like, she's clicking through everything. I'm like, Natalie, what are you doing?
I think I can hear her inbox filling up from over here. Everyone's like, oh, Natalie Sandoval for all those Bluebeam questions, eh?
She's the best, dude. She is the absolute best. So it's so impressive. Like, there's days where when I was working with her, I was just looking at some of the things she's doing, and I'm just in awe. I'm like, damn, okay, I'm gonna do that.
And she's so calm, cool, collected. When there is nothing that's gonna frazzle or frizzle her. She's just knocking it out.
Yeah, and the thing,
There's a problem. We got a solution. We'll do it.
yeah,
Like,
and she
we'll make it
was
happen.
so effective just by being in the office. She didn't have to step foot on the job site, right? Like Natalie hardly ever had to go on the job site. She would go just to do her updates, just to understand what was going on, right? But she didn't need to. She was so effective, like just from being in the office. So she taught me a lot about how to do RFIs, how to review submittals, a lot about how to deal with different personalities on the trade partner side because they were driving me crazy. I'll tell you that. I was going crazy. So she was teaching me ways to kind of deal with that. There was a couple that I just couldn't talk to at all. So I had to give that up. I'm like, I'm not talking to these people anymore. Right. So I had to, I was going crazy. I was doing a lot on that, but she taught me a lot, especially at Villas on Rio. She taught me a lot there. And then Joseph, I mean, he's been with me since I started, like I said, and he taught me a lot of different techniques, a lot of how to make the most out of your strengths, right? How to make the most out of your weaknesses, right? I mean, he taught me a lot of things. But if I had to pinpoint it, Natalie, no doubt.
Really?
Yeah, no, she was the one, no doubt. She helped me out a lot.
It sounds like she's gonna owe you a Christmas present or something.
she better.
Come
She
next
better.
this December. I feel like that's so. This is one story of 500 and however many we have, Hagen, 517 or 20. I don't know what it is now. I'm so excited to keep doing these and hearing more about that.
Yeah.
Like I said, you and I have worked together. We were out at INSYS. We were over at 21 Oasis, 22 Rio. I did a bit out there. So I kind of know your story already, and I want everyone else to know it. And I'm so excited to do this with others and hear about those stories and who are those people up in Dallas? Who are they in Houston and San Antonio?
Right.
Who are they in the interiors teams that are, where are Natalie's on that side of the...
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like to understand the different team. Every team's built different. Every team. There's no teams that are the same. We try and make them like to where they're all good, right? But they always have their stars, and it's interesting to hear like what those stars, who those are, right? What they do, right? What makes them effective. This quality control process came out, right? And that helps out a lot too. It makes the teams more or understand the importance of quality control and make sure everyone's looking at the same things, but still you're going to have different teams, right? So it is interesting. I'm looking forward to you guys doing this. I mean, I'm glad you are.
I feel like you got to walk that balance of prescribing how to be an effective team and like standardize to a level where everyone can understand what's going on, but leaving that flexibility and agility
to do
for
it.
You guys to build the project.
Right, and do better, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Doing better. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'll ask you this one last question before we jump off.
Okay.
If you could give young Fred some advice, 10-year-old Fred out there, kicking a soccer ball around in the street or whatever you did, I don't know. What would you tell yourself?
I saw that. That's hard. That's a hard one. I think a lot of people who know me can say this, but I get worked up on problems that I don't need to get worked up on. I'm so passionate about like getting things right the first time, right? I always want to get things right, but in construction, unfortunately, right, you have to go through trial and error. You have to do things wrong once to know how to do things right. Right? Everyone has everyone talks about lessons learned, right, from their projects. And the worst ones are the ones that you repeat again, which happened to us, right? It happens.
Nothing was learned.
Yeah.
It was just
nothing.
a lesson.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things like that. And I would tell myself not to get worked up on certain things. Just let it go, right? Everything's going to be fine. If you get material that's going to show up late, figure out a way. Don't get so worked up on it. Stay calm and get through it. So I think I would tell myself just take everything, slowly, step by step, and don't worry about things that don't need to be worried about. I would tell myself that because I did it when I was 10 and I do it still to this day. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Awesome. Well, Fred, thank you again so much for making the drive out here. This was fantastic. I feel like we could go for another couple hours easily.
Yeah.
But trying to keep these to a manageable size for everyone, on that hour-long commute, they can hop in and listen to Mr. Fred Gonzalez, hear what he's got to say. So thank you to everyone who jumped on to the live stream. If anyone is looking to watch this after the live stream, this will be on Spotify on the RO R&D channel. It'll also be on Apple Podcasts on the RO R&D, that's R ampersand D channel tomorrow. really looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks again, Fred.
Thank you.